Thanks everybody for joining me today on this great Tuesday. Buffalo's waiting for our first snow of the year, but we'll see what happens. But today, I recently put this consult out, and this is probably one of the major keys to successfully obtaining referrals from the medical community. Because remember, this isn't about doing what medics do, and it's absolutely not about having medics do what we do. We're very, very different professions. We do very, very different types of procedures. And of course, and obviously, we view the body differently. Now, regardless of how you practice, the fundamental message to the medical community is always the same. And the key to doing this properly is getting the medical community to understand that what you do is not comparable to any other profession that they currently work with, and that it serves a need that continuously is either ignored or not handled effectively. And historically, we know that, and I'm using the medical terminology for this, non-specific or mechanical back pain was something that was always incorrectly taught. It was something that has a natural history, and that natural history ends in resolution. So if we don't poke it, we don't prod it, you just go home and you lay down in bed, eventually it'll go away. Well, the chiropractic community since 1895 has understood that and taught that pain is the last entity to show up and it's the first to leave, right? And most spine pain in general is either due to an injury or some sort of compensation. Those are really the only two ways, right? And that compensation could be chemical, it could be environmental, and that's a story for another time. However, it stands to reason in my mind, and one of the things that I discuss with the MDs that I work with is the simple fact that the majority of low back pain is compensatory. That's why we've never been good at fixing it, because we're chasing the area that is compensating. And the low back compensates mostly from cervical spine issues, which makes a heck of a lot of sense, right? So with that being said, that's your message, and that's your focus when you're meeting with the medical community, because that's what their need is. Once the patient comes into your practice, you can market to them or work with them any way that you see fit. But let's just go through the three main ways to market. And what I want to stress today is the simple fact of just, whether it's you or your marketing person, simply just putting on the blinders and building a network of medical doctors who know you. The mistake sometimes when you're getting started with all of this is trying to push really hard to build a network of referrers. And that's obviously the goal, and we can do that in a pretty short period of time. But your perception of why you're doing this is readable by the MDs. So we want to make sure that they're understanding that we're reaching out from an interprofessional standpoint. So when you're sending out your networking people, when you're sending out, even if you're going out yourself, as I mentioned, your goal is to get as many MDs to know who you are as possible. We used to do that, and we still do that with the public. It's not about how many people you know. It's about how many people know you. And that's the same with the medical community. How many medics know who you are? Do you have a reputation in your community, in the medical community? Not just social media and not just people down the road or patients, right? Around here, that was my goal, and it's been 20 years, but most everybody knows my name. They may not have met me, but almost everybody's heard of me. That's my goal for you. And you can do that in 6 months easily. So let's just look at a couple of these concepts here, okay? And this is under number 4, MD meetings, primary care physicians. But there's main ways to market a product or service, and these aren't in any particular order. But really, the first is the straight up solicitation, which is your pushy, in your face, sort of the street hustler vibe, and this type of approach is really designed for the one and done customer. This isn't a way that you institute a brand or continue on with repeat customers, right? You're not building a relationship with this. If you're walking down the street in Chicago or New York or LA and somebody wants you to buy a handbag or a book or something, or maybe they just want $1, right? Or a sandwich or a beer or whatever. They're not interested in your long-term recognition and loyalty. They just want what they want right now. That's why they're always moving, right? So this type of solicitation is the main reason that most offices have no solicitation. When we go into the MD office, this is the type of approach that we absolutely do not want. It's the one that's most easily recognizable, and it has historically been kind of the reputation of the old school style of chiropractic marketing, right? I mean, how many times have you opened up Dynamic Chiropractic or something like that, and there's an ad for guerrilla marketing? There's all these sort of in your face, I have to be high energy and steamroller people in order to get things done. And that is the direct opposite of what you want to do with the medical profession. They're taught to share patients and they're taught to work together. So they don't need to be sold. They need to be educated. And they're most open to people that are educating them. The people they're most open to being educated by, I should say, are the people that they know. And that's why the network is critical first. The amount of MDs that know who you are. Sometimes you're just popping in there and you're saying, hey, how you guys doing? Do you need any more postcards for your patients? Great, thanks. Have a happy holiday. I'll see you. That's it. Because you're building a relationship. I'm not going in there and doing a number 1 on them, right? Hitting them and wanting that patient and not building a long-term relationship. The second type or way to market a product or service is something that Dr. Student and I have talked about extensively. And that is really about academic marketing. The basis of everything that the Academy of Chiropractic does is academic, right? Our goal is always business, but we do it through an academic process. Now, this is the type of marketing that relies on providing supportive information. And we talk about the diagnosis and management of mechanical spine pain. However, we want to introduce other authoritative sources that back up what we're doing. It's just like when you're on the witness stand. If you can get the jury to understand that what you're telling and teaching them isn't just your opinion, it's not something that you have feelings about. This is something that is demonstrable across multiple professions, and there's actually a consensus scientifically for what you're telling them. The more people and the more information behind you, particularly if they're authoritative sources, the easier your job is. That's why when you see a lot of the journals and the bi-monthly flyers that are in this program, there's not a lot of them that come from JMPT. That's important, but that's our journal. And it stands to reason that that journal would be filled with chiropractic-oriented papers. Right? I think they could probably do a better job on being chiropractic specific. However, if I go into a medical doctor's office and I bring them the article on cervical artery dissection and chiropractic out of Penn State or out of spine with the 7 million lives that were studied and they show no causation, that is leaps and bounds in their mind ahead of anything that will be published in a manual therapy or a chiropractic journal. Okay, so again, the academic side is not just showing there's a consensus. but being able to explain it concisely in a very soundbite type of an environment, and giving it to them through the conduits that they're used to getting their information from. So if you're going to go like the past couple webinars, we talked about the OB research in pregnant patients, right? I want to hand them an obstetrics journal that has these articles in it. Not a manual therapy or a physical therapy journal. It's got to be theirs. Family medicine, primary care. Like, those are the things that we really look at. And those are the things that I chase. So we want a diverse pool of resources, and we want to keep it authoritative, which means peer-reviewed, medically indexed papers or white papers. So if you guys haven't, and gals, haven't been to the U.S. Chiropractic Directory, make sure you go there. Those papers are written to also be handed out, okay? And you can go and search by topic. But, I'll caution you, don't just hand stuff out, read it and understand what it is, because in the end, that's where your conversation is going to be. That's where your sound bites are going to come from. And the quicker and more accurately you can share that information, the better. And a lot of times I'll just say, well, look, we don't just use range of motion to assess our patients. And I'm not a huge fan of Oswestry and those things. That's just my opinion, but here's why. And I'll hand them the white paper. All right. And that's on the U.S. Chiropractic Directory on patient assessment. That's a very, very important one. Make sure you go read it. All right. So we're showing through academic marketing that there's a consensus. The time is right to use a chiropractor, a properly trained chiropractor, not any chiropractor, but a properly trained and credentialed chiropractor as a primary spine care doctor to coordinate care, to manage the case, right? Because spine pain in and of itself is never necessarily cured. We're going to manage it. We're going to manage it just like COPD, hypertension, diabetes, eczema, acne, all of those things, diverticulitis, Crohn's disease, fibromyalgia. My God, virtually everything in the medical profession is not cured. It's managed. Maybe infection is cured, but for the most part, everything is managed. So we want to talk about the management. We want to talk about, under the academic umbrella, that mechanical spine pain follows a predictable pattern, and it can be diagnosed. One of the biggest eye-opening things that you can say to a medic, particularly primary care, is, did you know that mechanical spine pain can be diagnosed? It can be objectified, right? We look at cervical spine x-rays. We look at the lordosis. We look at flexion extension views. We might use a biomechanical software. You might use Dr. Wiegand software and objectify what you're doing. That has been the missing link in mechanical spine pain since the word was discovered and first used. Everything else in medicine can be objectified. If I'm going to take an iron supplement, well, my blood shows that I have low iron. If I am going to be giving a blood clotting medication, it's because my platelets are low. If I'm going to be given an antibiotic or an allergy medicine, it's because my eosinophils or my leukocytes are raised, right? There's all of these things that are objectifiable, and then there's a treatment. So you can imagine when no other profession ever has come forward and said, the reason you're getting headaches is because you have this problem in your neck and it's biomechanical, and I can show this to you and show you why I'm doing what I'm doing. And then after I'm done with it, I can show you what happened, and I can show you the reason you feel better is because we've had structural changes. That's the most important thing that medicine wants to hear. When they go in and there's a surgeon and they say, wow, look at this 12 millimeter disc herniation on MRI before, and look at this fusion after, it's been objectified that the work is done and it's created a measurable result. So that's the series of academic marketing, and that's what a lot of the consults and all of the bi-monthly flyers are about, is creating an academic marketing platform. But you can't have an academic marketing platform without a network. So you have to build the network at the same time. But even when my outreach coordinator, Daryl, goes out, very rarely do I ask him, well, what did they say or when are they referring, right? What I ask him is, how many people did you get out to today? Oh, we haven't seen so-and-so refer in 6 weeks. Can you stop and hit them? Or, whatever it may be, we want to maintain the network. And the network is always maintained by a visit or dropping off clinical information or something academic. So network first. Don't be a straight up solicitator. Work on your academic platform with my help. And this is what's going to lead into eventually the MD lectures. If you have a network and you're perceived and people know who you are and you're perceived as an academic, you're going to have a good turnout. If you don't have a network and nobody knows who the hell you are, nobody gives a crap. So nobody's going to show up. It's not the secret unless it's part of the overall system. So academic marketing is very, very important. Once you start to have the academic understanding, it doesn't mean that you have to have this in place, because you can do these things simultaneously. We want to move to what I've always called clinical marketing. And I always look at my patients and say, which one of these people can I leverage their findings to introduce myself to a medic that doesn't know me yet? And can I do it in a way where they're going to say, number one, thank you for communicating with me, because nobody does that, particularly chiropractors. Number two is, wow, I didn't think chiros could catch that. And number three is, my God, that patient really likes you guys over there. Okay, those are huge things. That's 98% of the battle. And I can cut the relationship building time by 90% if I have a good clinical case to share with, particularly the primary care. Okay. The surgeons are a different story, but I use Dr. Wiegand software. If they can't help them and they're not fitting the surgical criteria, I can show them this is their biomechanical analysis. This is what we did, and we really helped them. Now we're just going to be managing them. So I never shy away from talking about long-term care, but I use the term manage. Right? I don't use maintenance care or supportive care. Those are all words that we came up with on our own as a profession. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you use trade vocabulary with another profession, they're going to get confused. Right? That's why if you go in and there's something wrong with the computer in your car, like, dude, just tell me what's wrong with it in simple terms, English. Right? Keep it simple. That's the same with the medics. The misconception is that they're highly trained and that we have to put on some sort of academic show for them. And that's not what the academic side of marketing is about. I just had a med student last week, and he's looking to match, which means find his residency in anesthesia. And he's just a biochemistry head, like very interesting guy, cool. But he's like, that's what he loves. I mean, the fact that you can manage and monitor all these chemicals, I mean, he's just excited about it, which is really cool. But he said, you know what? In his 4 years of medical school, and he's graduating in May, so he's a recent guy, right? In his 4 years of medical school, he had one 1-hour lecture on back pain, and it was a guest lecturer. Other than that, they had no training in spine pain whatsoever. And he commented that the lecturer she said, it's amazing that this is all you guys are going to get when spine pain is the number one reason a patient will come to a primary care physician. The number one reason, and they get 1 hour in 4 years. So when you're meeting with them, always remember that you have to start at the mere basics. Okay. And that's the challenge with us as chiropractors. We want to put on the wow hat and look all smart and fancy. But when you do that, you kind of alienate people, okay? So the clinical side is where we shine. What we're going to do is we're combining academic marketing with clinical marketing with a very specific case in our practice. And those are some of the things that I've been posting. And a lot of those are the cases that I use. Okay, when you're starting out and maybe you have a purely managed care practice and you don't have a lot of trauma patients, you're not going to have a lot of sexy, crazy findings to show off, right? You might go 5-8 years without even having a negative or a positive neurological sign for nerve compression or myelopathy or whatever, right? but it doesn't matter. Even laxity, the carotid plaques identified on cervical radiographs are a great thing. I love to use internal medicine problems to showcase my expertise. I don't say, look here, wow, check this out, this is mechanical. I want to show that I can be trusted with identifying and managing patients. And that's where the internal medicine stuff comes in. And that's the word you should use. If I call up the MD, I'm going to say, listen, Mr. Smith was in for some neck pain, but I got an internal medicine issue that I need to talk with you about real quick. Yeah, we just got his lateral cervical x-rays back and he's got some plaquing. Before I even touch him or do anything, I'd like to send him down for a Doppler. I don't know if you want me to send him to your office or you just want me to send him over to the imaging center. How do you want to handle that? Right? And now that's collaborative, and that's cool. That's nice. It's a good way to work. It's fun. And you're doing the patient a world of good. Significantly high blood pressure. Most MDs will not want to see the patient in their practice. They'll just want you to send them to the ER, right? So anything over 150 systolic and 110 diastolic is something that you want to send over, particularly if they're diabetic and maybe they're on meds, right? I mean, a lot of people have serious kidney issues, and that's where that's coming from. So, be aware of that. Those are good ones. Bruits. Are you auscultating for carotid bruits? If they have bruits, then they have to go and make sure that they're getting an evaluation. We see abdominal aortic aneurysms on x-ray, right? Lateral lumbar x-ray. Make sure you're looking for that. Radiologists miss that stuff. If you have positive tests for vascular insufficiency in the cervical spine, mains, declines, vertebral artery screen, all the things in the stroke course, right? Those are serious things. Those are serious things that need to be dealt with. We just had a case that had a high intensity signal in the patient's medulla on the T2 sagittal MRI. You could see it pretty well. So the neurosurgeon that I work with, who subsequently is inviting me into a meeting with their CEO at University of Buffalo. This is the meeting that's going on next Thursday. I texted him over and I said, hey, Ken, and I pasted the MRI report right into the text, right? I went on my phone, got the report, copied it, pasted it into the text and said, sending this person over to you. And then just hit send. And I get the response back was immediate and it said, thanks with 4 exclamation marks. Okay. That's a super cool way to communicate, right? And that's use technology. Sometimes, especially surgeons, I never call. We always text. Okay. But those are important findings. Don't hesitate. Use those findings to leverage your relationship. That's what clinical marketing is all about. Spinal cord compression. You guys are all going to have that at some point. It could be spinal cord abutment. It could be spinal cord compression. A lot of times I'll even just pull up the PACS at our office and I'll take a screenshot, make sure that the patient's name's not on there so you don't get busted for HIPAA stuff. But take a screenshot of it and send it to the surgeon and say, hey, do you want to see this person? Right? But don't make a rookie mistake when you do it. Do the sagittal and the axial. Send both, because that's a subtle indication that you know what the heck you're talking about. And they might say, yes, immediately. I'll see him tomorrow. Or my PA will see him tomorrow. Or it looks like you have room. Do they have symptoms? No. Okay, monitor that. And when they do, send them to me. Have a conversation. It's an awesome thing. And listen, if you have any of these things and you're not sure, email me and say, hey, Bill, can you jump on real quick? I want to look at these lateral radiographs. How would I go about approaching the primary care doctor? How would I go about talking about the spinal cord compression? Because once I help you do these things once or twice, you'll have at it and you'll be able to do it forever. And it really makes you stand out well above and beyond everybody. Myelopathy. Syrinx is another one that's not in here. Cauda equina. Fractures. We have transverse process fractures, spinous process fractures, compression fractures. All of those things. Hey, listen, this woman came in with back pain. She stepped off a curb. She's pretty osteoporotic. It looks like she's got a loss of, vertebral body height. I'd really love her to come down and take a look. When's the last time that she had a DEXA scan, right? What's her bone density like? Be a part of the team and don't be afraid to do it. We also find we have 2 primary care doctors in our community that accept new patients regularly. and we send people to them. Okay. I had a new patient that was in a car accident, and she came in, and sometimes, unfortunately, this is the only insurance, or this is the only time they've actually seen a doctor, right? And this woman was 30 years old and had never had a gynecological exam. She had never had an exam for a female healthcare exam. Nobody's even monitoring. I mean, how do you, like, in this day and age, how does somebody go 30 years without an eval? You know, no PAP, none of that stuff. You know, that's a detriment to her health. So we send her over, right? Take care of people, and, you know, be a doctor, but focus. Your marketing is always on the diagnosis and management of mechanical spine pain, but you're a well-trained, highly qualified doctor, which means that you can pick up stuff and you can manage and triage that patient, right? You're not a technician. That's the difference. A technician doesn't look at any of these things. A tech is just going to do the procedure, right? They're going to do an EMG. They're going to do a small nerve test. They're going to do an injection. They're going to set somebody up for an x-ray. There's no medical decision-making in a tech's life. They take the order, they do the work, they go home. Don't be a tech. Okay? So demonstrate your clinical set. When you do these, run a couple of them by me. All right? You can call on the phone, you can fax these things, but when we go to visit the MDs, it's your curriculum vitae, your initial report evaluation. Sometimes if it's been a little bit of time, I'll include my last SOAP note and any imaging reports. Okay, my front desk will print all that stuff up. Daryl will take it and drop it off, right? Before I had Daryl, I did that all myself, and it's a little bit exhausting, but you can't get to the other side unless you go through the middle. And the middle is about making sure that you communicate. Lose sleep over thinking that you're not communicating enough. Okay, that's hugely, hugely important. All right, let me help you do that. Schedule some time with me. Let's pick a couple cases. Let's cherry pick some patients, and let's start reaching out, because I'll tell you, you can work with a lot of people. It might be rheumatoid docs. It might be primary care, internal medicine, family practice, surgery. All of those things are really, really important. Okay, so remember, don't be an in-your-face, straight-up solicitor. All right, you'll get blacklisted from clinics. Concentrate on becoming an academic marketer, but launch that academic marketing campaign by using real-world examples. This is what we do with lawyers too, right? You want to have an academic marketing system where you're sharing with them what the research says on pain and disc and nerve compression and all those things. But the best way to get into a lawyer's head is to actually showcase those concepts in a case. It's the same with the medics. They're no different. It's just the reason for that information is different. The lawyer wants it to win a case. The MD wants it because they want to trust you as somebody that they can work with interprofessionally. All right? Excellent. All right, guys, listen, pick some cases, email me, let's set up some time. My new schedule right now is I see patients Monday through Friday. We've had some patient visit average issues with my two associates. So I'm back in and I righted the ship, and we've grown by 35% in the last month on our weekly numbers. It's kind of fallen to the wayside because I wasn't there. But things are definitely changed. But I'm in the office every day. My mornings are patients. My after 12:30 is all consulting stuff. So shoot me an email. Let me schedule some time with you, and let me help you to do this, because you're sitting on a gold mine if you do this properly, and it's easy. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.